I'm David Marsh. Welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
I didn't really know what it was. All I knew is that the word meant energy. Still, when people say, what is Reiki? They don't know what it is. My first experience, it was you go in, you become initiated, so your eyes are closed and you start to feel and sense yourself, so I had all these spiritual experiences and Reiki was a perfect container for that. So it was more than a modality. It was more of an offering to go in and access your own guides, your own intelligence, your own wisdom. It wasn't a modality of something someone is doing to you. So I really liked that because I needed more space and more creative expression, and I needed to figure my own thing out. When people show up, they're committed. They want to go deeper, they want to breathe, they're paying for this experience to really find themselves and explore what motivates them, what they're here on the planet to do. I find in an hour of a Reiki session, it's better than 6 months of counseling and talking, because people can get their own wisdom, can access their own inner power. Raise the Vibration was this movement that I had in my soul, and I wanted people to start waking up and becoming more conscious. So it began with mindfulness on the planet and the environment, and then we started doing events. So I was doing moon meditations and gatherings, calling them Raise the Vibration events and things like that. So finally, in 2011, I opened this home studio and said, I'm gonna live in my business for a moment to get this Reiki thing on the road. And I've had a lot of support, just with the community. So my mindset was if I could see one person a day, I'd be helping the planet and I could afford to live. So I kind of did that, and now I'm pretty busy. I feel like our planet is amped up on electricity and, pulsing information all the time. So this practice helps us get into our body, kind of turn it off, access that natural solar fire inside. With each breath in, we're activating our fire in our belly. We're activating our metabolism, our immunity. So there's a natural way to do that. We just need a moment.
Hi and welcome. I'm so glad you're joining us. Today my special guest is Nicole Duran. Nicole is awesome. Nicole, you're smudging with sage. I love that. I love the clearing energy. Tell our audience a little bit about what we're doing here.
We are connecting today to talk about raising the vibration.
Yes.
So thank you for having me. I'll give us both a little love shine.
I take it. Clearing out. So tell me about the sage and the clearing.
Little offering. It's an offering of respect, of truth, of purifying the space so we can come together and connect authentically and from a heart space.
Beautiful.
Without any distraction or other energy in this moment.
Yeah. When we did your feature video, you had done a sage and then you worked with your client that was on the table there. Mm-hmm. How do you incorporate the sage and the feathers when you're doing the Reiki energy work?
I use it for a clearing. So once I have my client breathing and resting, and breathing is the main thing, then I'll offer a little sage. So it's a respect to what we're doing. It helps us kind of come together, and it's a beautiful medicine to relax and open up the lungs and know we're going to start some healing work.
That's awesome. Uh-huh. Is this something that is a medicine from Native American tradition? Is it shaman tradition? Tell me about what you know of the sage with the alabaster and
the smudge. It was introduced to me from a Native American teacher, from my Reiki master teacher. But all over the world, there's different shrubs and herbs and medicines that indigenous cultures use for purification and for ceremony, for starting the day. So incense, anything like that. There's copal, there's dragon's blood. It depends where in the world you are.
What's dragon's blood?
It's an incense that's good for banishing and balancing your sexual energy and your personal space.
Cool. So you just say dragon and blood, and I'm like, woo, you got me there. That sounds exciting.
It's for grounding.
Huh.
So that is what the intention is, for grounding. Stabilizing, clearing, cleaning. We're going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. I love that you have given presence to your work as raise the vibration. And kind of the overarching theme of everything that you're doing is raising vibration of people, of the planet, of just how we are all interconnected. How did you kind of come across that as a theme for some of the work that you do?
Yeah, when I was going to Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, I was thrilled with Reiki, and I started a project with a friend who is no longer on this earth plane, but it was called Reiki Water.
Oh.
And his name was Barney Cannon, so I want to acknowledge him.
Beautiful.
He's angelic, and I guess he's here now.
Yeah.
So our slogan for the business of Reiki Water was raise the vibration. And so that's kind of where my desire to do events and help people and get it into the community started.
Mm-hmm.
So then everything from there on out was raise the vibration, because that's what we were doing.
And not only have you done many events, you're continuing to do events.
Yes, and better, because now we've learned some things.
So you're like growing on your journey.
Yes.
You're starting to incorporate. I love it.
What works, what people want, and how to work with others. Because sometimes personality types are interesting.
To say the least.
Yes.
So good. Now, I love on your business card, you've got Raise the Vibration Reiki Healing Studio, and you've got a list of things that you are practicing in as a holistic massage. You do readings, energy balancing, life coaching, Reiki master initiations. You teach Reiki.
Yes.
You have classes and clinics. People can get a hold of you.
Yes.
While we're in this space, give presence to your website, how people can contact you.
Yeah, the website is raisethevibration.org, and it was created by my beautiful friend Igor. He helped me brand kind of a generic Reiki studio, because I said that's what I want to do. I really want to teach Reiki primarily. I think it's more than a modality. It's more of a path. And so once I came into that, I was like, how come people don't understand Reiki? What's going on with Reiki? It's like this hidden gem. And I believe it's because the integrity that you live with and walk with, it's not a modality.
I like that.
Different.
It's not like you just come in and you do something and then you go back out and you can do whatever else. There has to be some, I like the integrity. There has to be some continuity in the work that you're doing and then the personal life you're living.
Yes, for sure. And that's the whole holistic practice. We care about how we're eating and, how we speak to ourselves and how we live. And, we can't lie to ourselves at some point on the journey.
Yeah.
So folks who really want to step up and live more authentically seem to visit me more often. Yeah.
Now, give presence to your journey. I love how you were a young person. Your dad was in radio and media, and you got kind of immersed into music and cool bands that were coming through. Give some presence to that part of your journey. Yeah,
I've always been into being kind of weird and different, and we grew up listening to Bob Marley every Sunday. And
nice.
My parents were definitely rebels in their own. We had a house full of Volkswagens and cousins over and kind of chaos. We had a family restaurant, and I had a cool mom. I mean, she was wild and honked her horn and listened to loud music, and thank God. So I kind of grew up a little more, out of the box.
Oh, it's so good.
Luckily.
So much different. I was given a narrative and a set of rules and lived in a box, and I was never allowed to get outside of that box for journeys. And I love that you're just like, it's just fun and enjoyment, and you have the ability to flow and to learn.
Yeah, we had to do things different. My mom made our clothes. I just kind of always wanted to be normal. Like have the bag that everyone had or have the shoes that everyone had.
Yeah.
I always had the weird stuff or the handmade stuff or the stuff from Mexico. Or, my mom always had Native American jewelry and friends and Rastafarian friends. And, the eclectic was always around. So that is still happening today, luckily. I didn't have to go far. But I did have to learn how to carry myself, and staying sober and staying out of the drug and the alcohol scene was interesting to me young. I got in trouble as a 13, 14-year-old kid a lot. And so by the time I was 15, I was kind of starting to tell my friends that, they didn't need to do all that. So I was kind of a grandma early on.
Really? So you went from wild girl to sensible girl, and you started preaching to the other people, huh?
I was trying to help, because I had a lot of friends start to, overdose and get into big, trouble early. I mean, I had friends dying when I was in 8th grade, in my freshman year. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I just knew it wasn't going to work.
Wow.
So
you had some wisdom at a young age.
I saw a lot early.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to be like everybody else. And I didn't want to, drinking wasn't fun to me. I didn't like how people looked or acted. And I maybe looked like I drank or looked like I did drugs because I had blue hair, if you wanted to make that judgment. But I kind of picked more of a square path. I had my daughter at 19, and I didn't have alcohol till she was 6. And I did that just to get out of the stigma of not doing that.
Because you didn't want to live in, again, a bondage or a box.
No, I've never wanted to live in a box, and I've never really wanted to be part of any one thing. Haha. So now I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Down with the man, down with business. I'm a business person now. Yeah.
I always kind of like to find my own thing, and I'm still developing my own thing. So.
You at some point come across Sweeha. How was that path, and how was that connection made?
Yeah, Sweeha. I was looking for a feng shui class because I was interested in interior design, and I knew that if you brought beauty in, then people felt better. And I was also interested in herbs and tinctures. When I was pregnant, I met a lady at the herb stop who started teaching me that I could take special herbs that would help my daughter's brain grow.
Ooh, wow.
And I was like, her brain to grow? I didn't even think about that. So, wow. And she was really nice. I'd go see her and she said, you can drink these herbs. It'll help her spine develop. And I was reading the pregnancy books and I was like, well, I want to help that. Yes. How can you help that? So I had no idea. So herbs kind of put me on path. And so if you're spending a lot of money and you're making time, and spending time making herbs and tinctures, buying those things, especially young or even now, you don't want to pollute your body with other stuff. So I started just eating healthier, and I understood that salads were better than, fast food burgers and fries and things.
Yeah.
So it just kind of went that way. Just kind of went that direction.
And this was at a young age where you were realizing that you wanted to take care of yourself and you wanted to raise the vibration.
Absolutely. I actually worked at a head shop right when I could because I had the colored hair thing.
Yeah.
And that's what my family said. You can't work anywhere except maybe a place like that.
Yeah.
But I was sober. I was pregnant. I was managing. And then as soon as I had the baby, I was out of there. I figured it out.
Yeah.
But even then I was, wanting to be positive to folks that were looking for something else. So you're
always in that mode of raising vibration.
I was.
How did you connect the dots for the Reiki and how you got into that? Because didn't you say that it was like, Reiki, what's this?
Yeah, I took my first class at Sweeha with Sinead Linda Dean, who's my Reiki master. And she was the first woman on the planet who could just kind of answer basic questions. She was like, who has any questions? And my arm was up the whole time.
Shot up, yeah.
And I was, frustrated about why there were kids that were being abused and starving in Somalia. And, she could answer these questions for me.
Yeah.
Where most people just would kind of look away or say something rude or, even more demeaning than what I was actually asking. So she was the Reiki teacher at the school. And it took 2 years after going there part-time to, drop into a class. And it was wonderful. It was everything I ever wanted, actually. It was pretty nice.
When you were in that questioning mode, do you remember any of the presents that she gave to those hard questions for you?
Yeah, she talked about what is, and she drew some pictures. She studied a lot of family counseling, and she just helped kind of open up the bigger picture, the bigger field of positive energy, negative energy, and then truth energy. And somehow I just sat with that. I'm still sitting with that. It worked. And when I did the Reiki initiation class, I never thought I would use it. I didn't really know what it was. No one said you do this on a massage table or people lay down or, in the class we were sitting in a chair like this.
Interesting.
Yeah. So for a couple years, I would walk up to people and just say, let me try something. And I would just kind of ask their permission and then maybe touch them or say something.
Yeah.
And they would change. They would dramatically shift.
Yeah. So you had, you could feel, could you sense energy? Could you feel like a presence outside of someone in their
Absolutely.
field?
When I was a young, really young teen, exploring with psychedelics and stuff like that, I started to see auras around people. That's what happened.
Cool.
You know, as a little kid, and I didn't know what an aura was. I just knew my friend was blue, and then this other girl over here was green. And I started reading a lot of books. My parents would drop me off at the library when I got in trouble and make me read books for 3 hours. That was my punishment.
Oh, that's amazing.
Brilliant.
You're like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, so I got to chill, and I always gravitated towards the New Age section.
Yeah.
My grandparents had Time Life history books, and that's where I learned about past life stuff and ESP and Ghostbusters. I watched that movie, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
So my brother and I would play psychic games, and you know, we were always kind of weird.
But you were drawn to that metaphysical side of there's the veil. What's on the other side? How do we incorporate that?
Absolutely. Well, and I went to a Catholic school from 2nd to 6th grade.
Oh, so you got the good old fear and judgment going on then.
I don't know what I got. I think I blocked most of it out.
Beautiful.
I had a mean nun in 2nd grade and 4th grade. And then I had a pretty teacher in 3rd and 5th. And then 6th grade was all over the place. But so I got the best of both worlds. You know, I had the nice blonde, supportive teacher at the Catholic school, and then I had the nuns that hated me and poked me and hit me with the book. Oh no! And the ruler. Yeah. I was the demo of getting smacked with the ruler because I didn't listen proper. Apparently, I wasn't a bad kid. I just, you know, I turned around and I didn't do everything they said all the time.
You had your rebel fist up in the air.
I just wasn't really listening. And now I realize that's part of this indigo nature. It's part of the starseed nature of really just marching to the beat of your own drum. And so a lot of these kids that aren't, you know, correctable or, you know, they want to fix these kids. It's like, you won't if their nature is stronger. If their spirit is shining through, they're not going to be formable. They're just not. I wasn't. I'm still not.
I love it. I love the karmic journey, the karmic profile of you came here for something. And now in your journey, I want you to give presence to indigo, to starseed, to that other dimension. How do you feel your soul is here to raise the vibration in all of this?
When I was younger, I felt like I was the one that was going to be nice. I was the one that was going to be safe or sweet because there was a lot of chaos and there was a lot of bullying and, you know, yelling. I think just disruption. And I would just kind of find a space and just chill. My mom made blankets, so I would grab a blanket and sit in the grass. You know, we didn't have toys back then. We'd just kind of chill. I mean, we had maybe like a couple things, but not like today where there's plastic everywhere. And, you know, my mom refused to buy us Barbies or anything that everyone else had. She was like, get a ball and go play outside.
Wow.
So we did
were you
that.
Be involved in the commercialism and
we would cartwheel. You know, we had a slide and a swing set, and we'd run up the slide and figure out how to flip off the swing and not break our neck. And we played tag. I had a dog. You know, I did really basic things as a kid. So
give some presence to the indigo.
Well, I don't know if you guys know about the Indigo Children, but
I
did find the book from Doreen Virtue when I was on path, wanting to figure myself out and read about cool subjects. And it was a study that they did in the 70s about babies being born. So, and it was right when I was born. I'm not going to share that totally. Late 70s. They studied these kids that had these purple indigo auric fields.
Oh, cool.
They were standing out, and some babies and kids didn't really have that, and then some did. So the ones that did, they followed them for years, apparently. And these kids ended up, you know, definitely different. Some of them had drug problems. Some of them were suicidal. Some of them were very artistic, different abuse. You know, they were different. They had these kind of more extreme lives. And so I love that. When I read that, I was like, that's me. You know, everything.
And you identified with that.
I did. And then I identified that in others when I got my first job working at a treatment center for kids. about 2001. So I was young mom, and I knew that I was here to help these kids because they were just misunderstood. That was kind of what I got from it.
Yeah.
You know, more than rebellious and being jerky, they were just really misunderstood.
Yeah.
Or they didn't have the support, you know, that a normal child, or I don't know what normal is nowadays. But
what's normal, right?
they didn't have a parent, or maybe they didn't have parents at all. You know, maybe they had to go live with their aunt or their grandma or something because of crazy circumstances. So I wanted to help those situations. And I've always kind of leaned towards that. You know, I've always brought all the loners to Christmases and Thanksgivings and, you know, mohawks and chains, and since a really young age.
Yeah, cool.
So it's kind of funny.
Do you feel like they were souls that had been accustomed to a different planetary vibration and then come here for an experience and it was different? Is that what you feel that was?
Maybe I got to that a little later. I think originally it was kind of just like they were missing something basic here on Earth. You know, it wasn't really galactic for me till later, much later.
How did you make that galactic conversation in your mind?
I spoke at a Star Knowledge conference in 2009 in Phoenix and met my star family.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, I met a Lakota Sioux chief from South Dakota.
Yes.
And I met a beautiful woman named Julie Pyatt from Malibu who was homeschooling her children, and she was a little older than me, so she'd been in the yoga community for a while, doing retreats. You know, she was beautiful and strong in her conviction, and a lot of other elders that, you know, wore regalia and wore ceremonial clothing, and they just had this presence about them. And somehow I was invited and I was included to come share my findings about indigo children.
Oh.
So they accepted me. You know, I was invited before I met anyone. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I said, oh yeah, I'll talk. I'll share. And then I got there, and it was actually quite an initiation for me to be part of the star family, which is really just a consciousness of beings that stands together as one thing. Yeah. Not religious, not dogmatic, no leader, you know, kind of an event put on. And I was able to come share. So that's where my speaking began. And I didn't know a lot, and I was very emotional. You know, I was crying, trying to share, and they were videoing it, you know.
So like there's a podium and you're behind it, and then
I'm bawling.
You're bawling.
I'm just crying. And I'm like, God, I'm screwing this up, and I'm going to have makeup, and, you know, I don't know what anyone's going to think about this. It was very in my head. And afterwards I was just hugged and thanked, and I didn't know why they liked me. Like, I didn't know why that was okay. And what I found is that I was sharing from my heart space. So even now, it's like when your heart's open, you get a little choked up.
Oh, so good.
I really like kind of rose into a heart space of being able to share and talk and just be me and be with the truth. And the truth can be really painful. You know, I was talking about kids in foster care systems and that lived in group homes that had these ridiculous rules. You know, if they got in trouble at school, then they'd have a punishment of going to bed at 7 p.m. And they were 16, 17. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to run away. Yeah. You know, they're going to cut themselves. So I was genuinely looking for help. And when I went to this conference, I thought that if I shared, that people would come help me. So that was my aliens. My aliens were like, I need help here. And then what my help ended up being was just, I was hugged. Like I was, like, you're doing good work. It's okay. So
you're fully embraced and accepted for who you were then.
For the work.
For what you were involved with. Yeah.
I'm going to light some sage for that.
Do it.
It's like, ooh.
Keep working that sage.
This is why we light sage. It's just, it's calming, it's grounding, it's nurturing. It's also a prayer. You know, it's like even this conversation when it's from the heart space, and, you know, we're sending that out and people can feel it and resonate and connect.
I love it. Yeah. Now tell me the journey with the chief.
Oh yeah. The chief.
And the 1111 and
yeah. So I met Chief Golden Light Eagle, and he is an 1111 1212 and 1313. I'll say medicine chief. How anyone would describe this beautiful being is going to be unique unto them. So, there's no bio that describes him.
So it's an experiential thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when I met him, he was just like this long lost family member, ageless, brother, uncle, grandfather. The wisdom was all there. And so I actually got to go to his reservation in South Dakota. And I learned that it was one of the first internment camps in America.
Wow.
And I didn't know what that was at the time.
Oh my.
I didn't know a lot.
Give presence to that for people like myself that don't fully understand that.
Yeah. The internment camps, they were all over America, but they were where people were taken because of who they were and what ethnicity they were and what the government was trying to do. And they were placed in, in Arizona, we had a lot of Japanese internment camps I've been through. Over by Estrella Mountain, if you were Japanese, they would put you in a little shed. And there were about 9 people that would be in a shed smaller than this room we're sitting in. And with really very little. So the internment camps where I found the chief in South Dakota were more in the form of Catholic schools. Kind of like what you'd see on Sixth Sense when the kid went in and had these visions of, people hanging and things. I actually had that experience.
Oh my.
It was pretty brutal. And I didn't know. I heard sometimes people talking negatively about religion or, Catholic churches and things. And I went there, and yes, it wasn't perfect, but I didn't have anything to compare it to. And I also had grandparents who were very spiritual and loved to go to church, and they were sweet as pie. So I hadn't made my mind up that it was a bad thing, even though I was hearing stories and stuff. So he kind of broke me into that consciousness of understanding that, maybe things weren't done humanely on the planet. So I didn't really know that yet. I didn't know.
Because you don't know what you don't know until somebody explains it to you.
Yeah, I didn't understand injustice as a whole.
Yeah.
I thought it was just, singled out to the kids or poverty but it's like, no, we're actually in this kind of systemic lie that in my teachings and my findings, and nobody told me this is me up late at night going online, doing research.
Yeah.
When our government began in about 1790s with George Washington, we received the Gregorian calendar. We received a lot of holidays. We received a way in which to live, and we still live in that. And that way was not on the planet for thousands of years.
Oh.
That way is new. When George Washington became our president, we got these little cartoons of him chopping down cherry trees and stuff. And, I didn't really know much. I didn't really like history in school. That's the only thing that stuck in my head was George Washington chopped down the cherry tree.
The cherry tree, right?
And in my older years...
And then somebody said, George, did you do that? And he says, I cannot tell a lie. That was the story I was told.
It was some goofy thing. Yeah. Well, now we fast forward to our president today, who's much like young George, chopping things down and maybe eliminating
oh my God, don't get me started.
Sacred life.
Yeah.
So I found out about the cherry tree, and it was a very sacred tree to most indigenous people. They used it for Sundance ceremonies and healing. I still take cherry bark as a cough syrup. It helps open the capillaries in your lungs, helps you breathe, maintains weight, metabolism. So when these trees started being chopped down, it really wasn't, a cartoon. It wasn't fun. There were also many children being taken from their villages and their families and boarded in schools. And so it kind of came in early through, Catholic schools and maybe other forms of educating and all of that. So I just got a real good glimpse of that. And because I worked in the system and I cared about systemic change, it was extremely interesting to me.
So you're saying that George Washington chopping down the cherry tree was, it was like a foreboding of things to come? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's just what was happening. It was like, young Indian children and other children. My grandpa was a white Oklahoma boy, but he didn't have education. So he was taken also and put on a bus and shipped from Oklahoma to Arizona.
Oh, wow.
With a piece of paper stamped ignorant.
Oh, no.
So then they forced, education. And then when he was a teenager, they sent him back to Oklahoma. And so he was just expected to fit right back in, so just seeing how things have been done. It's a little disturbing, actually. And a lot of people don't know. I'm still learning ways to teach some of these things in a way that's not traumatic or opinionated. I don't want to make enemies with some of these truths.
Yeah.
But the truth hurts
When
sometimes.
somebody is unwilling to receive information, if it's a factual event, they're like, no, that didn't happen. I mean, we have deniers of things that have happened, whether it was the Holocaust or 9/11 or whatever those things. We have people that say, no, this tragedy didn't happen. And when you're like, well, here's the truth of what happened, you're giving new information.
Totally. Well, and I do my best to kind of stay in a bubble. If people come to me for healing work, I can feel where they're at.
Yeah.
It's a safe, neutral space. It's not opinionated. I don't like to lead people down hallways that they haven't already started moving down themselves.
Interesting.
It's a very nice, neutral space.
Because they're having their journey and you're giving them space to be in that experience.
They are. And people are already aware of so much. So me actually getting out of the way and feeling and letting them be where they are and express what they need will help it grow. So I seem to be a lot of validation for folks. In Reiki, we open up the hands, we open up the feet.
I love how you said that. You said open the hands for receiving, and I noticed that lady was lying on table and palms up. Yeah. Yeah.
So we open up the hands, and this is a sacred, very normal gift of just. How does it feel when I say hi to the hands?
Yeah.
For thousands of years, if people prayed or spoke in their language, they were crucified or they were imprisoned. A lot of negative history happening. So even today in our conscious folks and our yogis and our, salad eating families, we have a lot of innate resistance. We have a lot of, brainwash to not do these things, to not touch. Even people like us, we still hold resistance to touching for healing, for comforting.
Yeah.
We call it boundaries or...
Well, that's that Western don't touch and whatever. The Eastern cultures are there's different cultures that are more hands-on and need to have the touch.
Or they understand it. So in Reiki, it's all about permission. So you ask permission, we're together. There's always a permission there. And I say it's like a butterfly landing on a flower. So when I work with kids with Reiki, I don't even really say teach them. I just kind of introduce what it is.
Beautiful.
So, there's places we don't want to tickle. We're careful. And there's places that feel really nice. So we just kind of work with that. And I have a whole tribe of little kids that are learning Reiki. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so beautiful. In your feature video, you had that precious little girl there and you go, okay, let's take time. And she was right there.
They want it.
Yeah.
They want us to get it so that they can relax and be in a stable environment.
Yeah.
And so my kids go home and they say, Mom, I'm going to give you Reiki. My parents call me and they're like, I was so grouchy and, so-and-so came in and just put her hands right on my face.
Oh, it's so precious.
So I'm like, thank God we have that.
Yeah. And even to that, you're doing, you're connecting the dots with starseed camps. And I know you've got things that come up on the calendar throughout the year. Tell me about the starseed camps.
The Starseed Camp is my baby. When I was in behavioral health, I worked in that system for 12 years. I wanted to have these different experiences for kids to have such a good time that all their problems would melt away. And we did that as much as we could. But now I have these kids of these conscious parents I work with who are ready. They're ready to look at their totem animals. They're ready to pet animals. They're ready to learn how to cook. All those life skills. It's just in a, less confined environment. I'm not part of the state. We're more casual. Yeah. We'll have a calendar. We'll have opening and closing circles with a talking stick and a lot of activities for creative pursuits. But really, we're not teaching them a lot. We're providing a container so they can come be themselves, they can play, they can make a friend. We won't have our phones unless they need to call a parent, maybe first thing in the morning, and like, let it go.
Yeah.
Just stop it. Because the world is just very electronic based and manic. What are we doing next? Where are we going? So
that getting the opportunity to unplug from that and just get back to nature, back to grounded things. I love that.
It's so sweet. And we have access to all of these little baby pigs. We had a bunch of pigs have little piglets. And they're so sweet. I mean, just holding a pig will change your vibration. It'll raise it up. And we have llamas. We have nice chickens that actually want you to hold and pet them. So when animals aren't abused, they're fairly friendly. They're very friendly.
Yeah.
So
a little fun fact about me. So I was raised in Idaho, North Idaho, and part of our raising was our mother put us in 4-H. And in 4-H, I picked the pig as my animal to train.
Wow.
And so we had an event in 4-H called fitting and showing. So we had a cane, and the cane would tap the pig on the side, and he'd move to the side. We'd put the cane in front of his face, and he'd stop. We'd take the cane and tap him on the back, and he'd go. And so we learned to control our pigs. Pigs are very, very intelligent. So in the process of this, we would then go into the 4-H competition and would be in a ring, and then there would be a judge, and there'd be a grandstand full of people, and there'd be all these competitors, and then it would be the fitting and showing competition. And you know what? You know what I am? I'm a 2-time grand champion, pig fitting and showing champion.
They're so cute. That's awesome.
So when you tell me about baby pigs, it brings back these beautiful memories. Just getting the pigs in the straw, and they're super precious. They really
so
are.
Sweet. I mean, whatever you have going on in your life, and some of the kids at the camp have some pretty major stuff. We're sponsoring a little girl who's 10. Her grandma had called. Her grandma gave her daughter, who's only 30, one of her kidneys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's pretty major.
Yeah.
So after she got that kidney, she had a stroke.
Oh my goodness.
So she's been really unable to do anything but be in the hospital to recover. So I got a call saying, my 10-year-old granddaughter needs this. And I'm like, absolutely, put her on. So I have been able to do some community work and give back, but really our families are, they're paying for this place that we get to rent and initiate in as our spot. And our staff is great. I have 11 adults on staff for this camp, and a lot of entertainment, and it's up in Camp Verde.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's beautiful. It's green and open, and
that's awesome.
We're really lucky.
What's the connection with Starseed? How do you incorporate that?
That's good. So the Starseed frequency, a lot of people will say things, and I believe it's all probably accurate into what they're speaking. But for me, it was the consciousness of the kids that these indigos have been having. So me as an indigo, I started, watching my children be more evolved than me. My daughter is college student and going to be a doctor and very bright. She's always been so organized and living this life that I didn't ever have, better than me. So I believe that these children come in with more capacity, more ability than us.
Wow.
And so I've kind of raised all of my kids like that, even my foster kids, that they were whole, they were fine. They knew what they needed. They just needed to be asked and checked in with and, guided a little bit, but not told and not taught. Not brainwashed into something we don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So the Starseed connection, how do you incorporate that with the kids at the camp?
Yeah, we're going to focus this one on be kind, and we're going to talk a little bit about bullying and just some different things that happen in the community. So it's really empowering them to use their voice and use their truth and get in their body, get in their heart, and a little bit of self-esteem. So when we talk, we'll sit up.
I love the talking stick. Give presents for people that never heard talking stick. Tell me about that.
I made this one. This was the first one that I made. Really special. I mean, this is a smudge fan, but I definitely use it as a talking stick. It just focuses the energy. And I didn't know I was going to sit here and hold this right now, but I trust myself and it feels really good. I'm balanced. I'm centered.
Now, I learned about the talking stick in the Kwadoshka training, where we learned when you're having a conversation with someone, when you use the talking stick, you're like, okay, it's my turn to talk. And then you say this, and then you give it to the other person. And then they go, okay, if I understand correctly, this is what you're saying, and here's my response. And then you let them, so you're not having this battle of who can talk the loudest. You give space and time.
Communication tool for sure. And then we circle up. So we'll be sitting in a circle and we'll say our name, and we'll have some real personal conversations. This is what I do in the studio. We do a new and a full moon meditation. So I'll do a guided meditation and some lunar wisdom, and then at the end we'll have a little share. And it teaches us to speak from the heart and not the mind.
So good. And when you have that, you get this presence and this authority that you feel like you're like, I'm holding the talking stick, and wow, you just feel the magnitude of that.
It's true. We're going to do talking sticks and walking sticks at the camp, because some of the kids, talking sticks kind of boring. They need like a big staff. So I'm like, fine, we'll do it.
Especially if you're a little boy, you need a sword, because that's what little boys do.
So these kids will get to earn a couple feathers. And I like the real ones.
Yeah.
This is a royal palm white turkey, and turkey is the community bird, so that's a good feather to kind of start with.
Cool.
So we learn about community and working together, and it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we raised turkeys when we were kids too, and they used to be in little packs. Yeah.
They're brilliant. It actually kind of starts me on my path of wanting to always be a vegetarian, because I feel like I have always had this compassion.
Yeah.
My dad, he might not like this, but he used to moo, before dinner when my mom was cooking burgers and things. He'd start mooing like dinner was ready, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not eating it.
Oh, wow.
There's no way I'm eating that if it's a cow, and then the oinking with the breakfast sausages and stuff, they were funny, but it wasn't funny to me.
Oh,
it's still not funny to me.
Yeah. So tell me about that lifestyle when you're raising vibration. I mean, that's a global thing. It encompasses recycling. Oh my God, I'm a scuba diver. When I go scuba diving and see all the effing plastics everywhere, it enrages me.
That was my first project, was recycling projects. When I started Raise the Vibration, we went to the coffee shops and we said, hey, can you use compostable cups? Let's raise the vibration. Like, we got to do it better.
Yeah.
And some of them did. I got my apartment complex at the time to pay for recycling. I had to go to the board meetings, because in Phoenix, you have to pay for recycling if you're a condo or an apartment complex. So most of them don't have recycling.
Yep.
So when I found that out, I started going to board meetings, and I did not want to do that. It was the last place I wanted to be.
I bet that was an awesome time being in a board meeting.
Some of them kind of liked me, and most of them didn't. They were like, what is this? Get her out of here. And I didn't until they changed it, and then I never went back once. I think I went to 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah. And so, but they
weren't nice.
They put it on the agenda, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And that was a little thing that I could do. And I was learning from Casey Miller, the director of the school, that one thing, can spark a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I believed that, and I still believe that.
Yeah, Casey Miller is absolutely an integral part of my journey, and I want to give so much gratitude for all the things I've learned from her. Yeah. Absolutely.
About holding space and accountability and just kindness, overall kindness.
Yeah.
Actually.
So you part of raising vibration is, look, we can reduce, reuse, recycle. We don't need to just make messes of this place we live. And then you've incorporated that into your diet. Talk about the vegan diet, the vegetarian things that you're, however that has worked through your life.
The vegetarian thing, I had roommates and friends that were vegetarian, and I heard it, but I wasn't really moved by it quite yet. Even though I was really sensitive as a child and I would deny different foods, I didn't put it into a category of animal yet. I didn't understand. But I did this meditation at the school, and I had eaten some form of pork the day before. And we went in, and it was the first time I worked with a power totem animal. And I went in, and we did all this breath work, which I hadn't done yet either. And who was your animal, through this whole journey? And I had this pig. There you go. I had the face of a pig, and it startled me because I thought I'd have a butterfly or a mouse, or I was all excited looking for some furry little cute thing. And it was a pissed off pig. And my teacher said, ask it what it needs from you. It was a personal guided meditation. And it squealed this long squeal, like if you were squeezing the air out of a balloon. And it said, don't eat me, right in my face. And I was breathing, and I had essential oils, and I had tears. I mean, I felt awful. I felt the spirit of the pig, and I was sick in my stomach.
Wow.
And I don't think I ate meat again. I didn't.
Yeah.
It blew me out. Just a guided meditation. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
Sober.
Yeah,
you know, doing our best,
Yeah.
feeding kids, and, you know, not making a stink at holidays, just eating what they give you. And that's where I became, you know, maybe more difficult. People thought I was getting a little weird now because I wasn't into that anymore.
Yeah.
For sure, though. Like, I just decided.
Yeah. Well, whenever you're trying to climb out of the pot, the other crabs are trying to pull you back down.
Something. So
what are some of the other things with raise the vibration? You know, diet and recycling are great. What are some of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, we've done a lot of cleanup activities. I used to take kids and friends. We'd go to the lakes and we'd fill up trash bags. And I went to Bali. We did a big trash pickup out there. There's so much trash in the oceans. I mean, it's insane.
You know what's infuriating to me is I've done the scuba dives where you pick up trash and you bring them back up, and then we go stick them in big plastic bags and go put them in the ground in a landfill. And I'm like, how did this help anything?
Yeah,
I took them out of the water and put them in the earth. It's still on the planet.
Or they burn it, and then it's in the air.
Yeah.
So mindfulness, you know, we want to obviously avoid plastics. That's what happened with the Reiki water project. I had this great idea to get Reiki into the community. So instead of buying Arrowhead, you'd have a Reiki water label. And then I got this hate mail a few months later saying, if you really cared about the planet, you wouldn't use plastic. And they were right.
Yeah.
So I kind of pulled my time and energy out of that. And that's where I took the slogan, raise the vibration. And I started using, you know, no more plastic. And I woke up.
So now Reiki water is packaged in coconuts.
Now Reiki water is just this concept. Yeah.
That's funny.
Now we just bless our anything and do our best and leave no trace is a good motto.
Leave no trace. Beautiful. I try to make my footprint as small as possible. And like, okay, am I using this thing? And that's just part of understanding that we don't have to live in this fear and this scarcity, but let's live in this shared community of how can we make this place better.
Absolutely.
And years ago, there was a social media video had been taken of a turtle, and the person pulled a straw out of the turtle's nostril. And people went, oh, maybe straws are not a great thing to have around, because of all the things that are picked up on beaches, one of the biggest things are plastic straws that are picked up. Do you need a plastic straw to drink a little bit of water? Nope. You can just drink a little bit of water.
You don't. I learned that right away. Anything man-made can harm you and maybe kill you. And anything nature-based or plant-based can help you.
I
so
love
it's
it.
kind of a little generic rule of thumb.
I love it.
It's helpful, you know.
Even to the point where now I'm seeing on news that there's states that are making it to where you do not give anybody a straw unless they request it at a restaurant, but they're like trying to go strawless. I'm like, okay, well, you know, that's good, but let's keep going
There's so
down
much
this.
more, guys.
Let's go down this journey a little deeper. Yeah.
It's even that with toys and stuff. There's studies that show how harmful plastic is. It actually dumbs down natural creative energy. And
boy.
It's interesting.
And what I love about your work is it's not like we hate everything. We hate this. It's like, no, this is what we love. We love this and we love that. And you're raising the vibration through changing consciousness, through love, and going, well, okay, those are, of course, negatives, but let's look at what we do love. And I love how you're bringing that consciousness to people.
That's the trick in healing. You know, we've got to really pull from an organic source and then bring in the positive. Because the moment we, you know, say one thing about any group or any activity, you're done. It's you've sunk yourself.
Yeah. Now you've picked a side, and you know you're labeled as being this. Yeah.
Yes. And so for me, the eating thing's always been a big deal. I've been a pretty strict vegan for about 9 years. I had a bite of buffalo because I was being told that the DNA would be good for me. So I did that. Okay, I've done it. Now it's in my body. I don't think I have to do it all the time. But that's me. I also had a bite of elk because I said, sure, I'll have some elk in me, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sensitive and I don't feel like we need to do things over and over. I took the stand because I don't believe in violence on the planet. And, you know, we're in illusion if we think the cows are being pet and then happily slaughtered. I'm like, well, ask their babies how they really feel about it all.
Yeah.
So I just do it for a personal integrity thing. I'm not grossed out anymore, you know, if somebody's eating what they're eating and how they live their life. I just kind of stay in my bubble, actually.
Yeah.
It works for now.
Yeah. Well, you have this space where you're working from, and your life integrity comes through in your work. I mean, even just the short time that I was able to observe when we shot your feature video, I observed people that love you, people that receive from you, and, you know, tell me about the people that find you and how those connections are made, and tell me about the work that they're looking for and receiving.
I love that. Yeah, and I kind of let them come to me. I don't promote a lot. I'm very word of mouth. I have this belief that if they walk in the studio in our little temple for healing, that they're ready, you know, their heart's open and they are ready to do more healing work in their own life. So I'm kind of like a blessing. I'm somebody that can come in and do a little self-care, and I'm good at language, so I can give a bit of a download of, you know, what is holistic healing and where are you and how do we hold it and keep it? You know, how do you breathe and empower yourself to be strong and go into the workplace and keep your head up? You know, how do you do that?
And I love how you're connecting that breath. Now, you're also a yogi. You did yoga teacher training.
I did.
I love that. Sweet Lady Gail and I just completed yoga teacher training recently. And so we're like, wow, the world of breath and fire and the world of just movement and motion. And Casey Miller was one of our instructors. I called her coach. I called all of my people coach because I felt like they were giving me these lessons in life. And of course, when I was a kid in the mid 80s and we were doing sports, you know, the coach was the authority in my life. So I coached Casey.
She is a coach.
I loved it. And so that's how, hey, coach, thank you so much. You know, what was your experience through that yoga path and connecting breath and energy?
Oh man, I did the yoga teacher training twice at Spirit of Yoga. The first time I really needed it. I was going through kind of a early midlife crisis of wanting to move to California, but having children and family here. So I went to KC and I said, I'm freaking out. I need a life coaching session. And every word I said, she handed me a flyer. It was on the yoga flyer. So this yoga training was starting in a week. I didn't know what I was doing. And every word I said was literally, so my little booty was in that class. And then I got wind of going to India and doing a master training. So once you've done your yoga training in America, you can go to India and master more. But I didn't feel like I was really prepared yet because I wasn't teaching yoga. So I audited and I did it again. And then when I got to India, I realized why I didn't know what I was doing, because in India, no one wears tight black pants.
It doesn't say Lululemon on the side.
No, and no one has a yoga mat. I mean, they don't even sell them there. So once you get to India, you usually kind of donate it.
So beautiful.
It's just interesting. So
Tell me more.
Our culture is funny and it's wonderful.
America.
We've got about 10 or 20% of what the entire system of yoga is about. You know, there's Kriyas that work with more the yoga of electricity. You know, there's the Kundalini energy that talks like the Reiki, the life force. There's Nad, there's sound, tone, music, healing. Laya, which is flow and dance, you know, and really understanding goddess energy. So the asana practice is a little piece, you know, and in America or in India, they say, when are they going to wake up? Because the asana will wake you up. It's a warm up. But we never really get to the practice, the teaching, you know, the way to live. It's interesting.
So good.
It's interesting, but we got to start somewhere. And I think we're doing good. You know,
even if you just get someone to get to a point where they can connect with their breath and just be mindful of what they're doing now in a warrior 2 pose, that's a starting point.
It's great. I mean, I believe that every kid should at least be offered yoga to teach them how to breathe. It's kind of ridiculous that we haven't understood that with a nice inhale, we can fill our belly with air. We don't know our body. So if we don't know our own body, we're really not going to know anyone else's body.
Yeah.
So then it becomes an issue for intimacy or connection or trust, within our own family, with our brother, with our sister, with our mother or father. So
even the simple act of the 3-part breath, which was new to me because I didn't know much about yoga, you're filling your belly and the belly comes out and it goes up to your ribs, up to your lungs and your shoulders, and you're filling it up, then you're releasing it, and then your 3-part down from your shoulders down to your ribs, bringing that navel back into the spine center, and you're exhaling all the way out, and then you're feeling back. Wow, what a surge of breath and energy. You can feel it. And then I loved how my yoga teachers would say, it takes 8 of these deep breaths to get the body to be reoxygenated, and 12 of these breaths to keep the brain reoxygenated. Of course, we're all like, well, we're going for 12 or 13,
Definitely.
Give me the space.
Hours.
I know, so good. And even that, I love how you give connection to the breath. When I saw that lady on the table for your Reiki, you're like connecting with the breath as you're doing energy work.
Absolutely. Well, because they do the work. So I feel like a lot of massage therapists or people who are doing modalities, they do get drained. It is tiring. If you don't understand to put a bend in your knees and how is your spine, are you breathing? Do you have oxygen moving in through your third eye and your brain? Then you're going to get worn out if you don't.
Yeah.
So that being said, we were talking about Reiki classes.
Yes.
I work with a lot of nurses and doctors and, lawyers, musicians, anyone doing anything could benefit from Reiki because it's showing us how to get in our body. It's showing us how to breathe and how to sit and how to just chill out and function.
Yeah. And not only are you a Reiki master, you do instruction on how to teach Reiki to people.
Yes. I believe that if everyone understood Reiki, then our world may have a chance. Really. So there's no competition in the energy. It's a gift. It's like yoga. You want to see 100 people on the hill doing yoga. Not 2.
Yeah.
If we're going to have a movement, it needs to move.
Yeah. I love that the presence of even raising the vibration, giving that presence to people. It's if we all begin just to have our own inner epiphany, our own waking up, you're changing vibration. And, because I was part of a mindset that had fear and scarcity and, judgment. And there was all of those contexts that I was given that this life was about. And when you let those fear paradigms go, you can realize, oh, we're all connected. We're all here for this journey of our soul. And instead of hurting one another, we can help one another. And even that little epiphany, you can raise the vibration.
Definitely. It starts with yourself.
Yeah.
Self-care, self-love. We take responsibility for the self.
Yeah. Being kind and gentle to yourself. So many times we're hard, like, oh, I screwed up again. I didn't get it right. Yeah. How do you give people presence to give themselves permission to be who they are? Just
by breathing. That's something I say in almost every session is give yourself permission to breathe. Just to simply breathe, because our minds are so full. I should be at work, or this costs this much money, or, oh, I went to this person and they do it this way. It's like, okay, now let's stop. Let's just breathe. So, and then the essential oils kind of just drop you right on in pretty quick, and the music and, just laying face down is a complete rebellion from our day. So I like to start my clients face down and do some clearing and opening on their spine, on their back.
Oh, wow.
To help that energy move up the spine proper.
Yeah. Now, give presence to taking the feathered, what do you call that? What's
a fan?
Okay, so you're taking the fan and you're pulling. You're pulling energy out? Is that what you're doing? Yeah,
you're kind of just wiping. The body is very quick to respond. If you put your hand on somebody's shoulder, they're gonna just melt. I mean, really, like just hi there. You're like, oh,
yeah.
Our cells start to regenerate. Human contact is really important.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done millions of tests of what happens without it. So it's like, well, what happens with it?
Yeah.
So it isn't about, touching and rubbing or, invading anyone's space. It's really just kind of a meeting. In a lot of native cultures and a lot of the Buddhic, the teachings of the Buddha.
Yeah.
You like that? There is no touching, actually. You're singing, you're in your center, you're in your mantra, your mudra, you're breathing, and then your vibration, then your field can affect the greater whole. So,
what were some of the big things you took away from the India culture, especially in that yogic journey? What were some of those things that really impacted you?
My teacher gave a lot of wisdom talks. So just breaking out of our mindset and how much illusion we are trapped in, actually. So when I work on my clients, whether it's yoga, Reiki, or meditation, we'll take big breaths, we'll roll our eyes up into the third eye, we'll stick our tongue out, we'll let that air out of the throat. There's different just breathing techniques that help us quiet the mind. About 98% of our ego is trapped in our mental body. So when we breathe, the mind actually can't think. And what happens is the brain and the emotions and the physical body starts to retrieve, life, which is kind of a spiritual experience that we have. So the mental energy is pretty destructive. That's why I believe all this electronic, crazy, technological stuff everywhere is, it's a lot. It wears us out. We can do a lot with it. We can video this and get messages out. Great.
Yeah.
But all the time becoming addicted to something so small is probably not the best answer.
What was your experience with meditation in the Indian culture?
I learned how to meditate, and I'm still learning how to meditate. I thought it was just the ability to sit and close your eyes and not move. Well, there's a lot more to that.
Yeah.
We start our mornings there at sunrise by the water, dropped in for about an hour and a half, just silence by the water. When I meditate now, there's many different ways you can do it. You can use a mala. You can pick a mantra to repeat, over and over. You can sit in silence. You can have music. Right now, I'm in the discipline of just silence. And it's kind of torturous if you have a lot of thoughts. About 40 days will break it. So I use this little thing called Insight Timer.
Awesome.
It's pretty good. So I'll do 22-minute meditations. When I wake up in the middle of the night, normally I would want to check my phone. Some people get a snack, something. I will meditate to break that and to say no. So, you can do what you like with it. It can be lovely. You can have tea with it. You really have to explore where you're at to get into real meditation. But Reiki level 1 teaches us a self-practice of hands-on healing. So you go through each chakra center.
Oh, wow.
You're closing your eyes. I recommend, 10 to 20 minutes. We've given you all this information. Take your hands, put them on your body. Give each zone a moment. Wipe the energy free. The bottom of our feet, energy comes out, our hands and our throat. So if we can each do that little practice, you're on your way to learning Reiki, which is working with others at the end of the day.
There are some cool things here. So give presents to the things that we have on set today. You've got some crystals, you've got a rattle, you've got another smudge fan, you've got some cards. Kind of walk me through some of the tools of the trade, if you will.
This fan has been through some serious stuff. You can tell the feathers are a little jagged. So there's some more turkey. And then I have some condor, which I am a thunderbird. That's my medicine name.
And you got a cool tattoo of a thunderbird.
Big tattoo of a thunderbird. Yeah. Thunderbird. You couldn't make this stuff up. I mean, I had no idea what a thunderbird was or any of this. And what I have found is it's the feminine counterpart to the eagle medicine.
Oh, wow.
And so the eagle is spirit, and the thunderbird works with the cycles of death and rebirth and everything in between. So that is a practice. That's being able to go in and transform and transmute and really, be where you are. So in our culture, we don't have very many rites of passages. We don't have a lot of honoring. My child moved out of the house. Our solution is, well, then we go to the bar more or something. we get a new boyfriend or, whatever's going on. And there's not a lot of real special moments for mothers and fathers and just humans to take a second and reflect. So the feathers, they help calm the mind. They're The birds are ruling the mind and the mental energy. So just, it's like instantly calming to be wiped and swept and honored. And I have macaw, a little bit of pheasant to honor the goddess, and there's some beaver on here. And beavers are also wonderful community teachers. So we really learn about the nature of animals at this kids camp. And even for adults, it's like laying there listening about the beaver. They're like, wow, I had no idea. You know, they only live to be about 14 years old, and they're all about hard work.
Yeah.
You know, they know how to build their homes for all 4 seasons, and they live in families with the grandparents and the parents and the children.
Wow.
They're sweet, and they're so misunderstood.
Yeah.
They're known for having big teeth, and in fact, if a beaver has big teeth like that, they're probably sick because they need to file their teeth down with all the wood and all the works. If they become unable to work, their teeth will actually grow like a plate, and they won't be able to eat. So they'll actually starve to death. Wow. It's crazy. Like, who would even know that? Yeah. We know that beavers have teeth from our cartoons when we were kids. We know nothing just about, you know, how does a pig feed its babies? That's huge too. I didn't know any of this until I got to go, you know, learn from the animals and learn from people who care and want to share.
Beautiful.
So these tools, this is a buffalo bone. We talk about, you know, the importance of using all the pieces. You know, there's not like, oh, well, we don't like that. Everything's important, even the stuff that we don't like. You know, the tendons, the blood, you know, there's a way the buffalo teaches us how to, you know, mindfully care for each part of it, that it's all very important.
Beautiful.
So, and then we have horse hair. So the horse is always the spiritual journeyer and the freedom horse. You know, so there's freedom in what we're doing together. Yeah. No bondage.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me about that rattle over there.
This rattle, I received this rattle from Bear Cloud in Sedona, who's one of my favorite elders.
Cool.
He has a beautiful gallery with a ton of art. If you haven't been there, go soon. His studio is in the Collective. Right when you pull into Sedona, there's these big, nice, bright buildings.
Yeah.
And, I call this my sacred baby rattle because it is. I do a lot of healing work, and when I first got this, I'm like, okay, I knew it was powerful. You know, no one gives you an instruction manual. And I had all these mothers wanting to, you know, get pregnant that maybe couldn't. And a few mothers who'd lost babies. I mean, just really different stuff. But this was my go-to. Just naturally. I would just grab it. And I took it to him a couple of years later, and he goes, well, yeah, you know, that's what it's for, you know, generically. But I just have found that doing the work teaches you how to do it in the first place.
Oh, wow.
So when you teach someone Reiki, like me, I initiate them onto the path, I'll say, you know, I'm giving them a lot of tools to have their own space to work. That's kind of the deal.
That's good.
So sacred baby rattle. There's, in this one, there are peyote seeds, and the butterfly is always transformation. And I've seen some amazing things happen with this rattle.
It's beautiful.
Calling it in.
People are transforming. They're gaining information. You're helping them on their karmic path. I love the work you're doing.
I danced with this. Actually, we used it last night in the equinox. We did a, what was it called? Oh my gosh. Autumn moon event. I did a little ceremony at Spirit of Yoga, and we were dancing, and I got to rock out the rattle, and it was really fun. It's really good.
So good.
And so even all the healing that we've done, you know, we shake out the tools. You know, the crystals, I put them in the full moon light, and I use them. I mean, I definitely place them on the body, and I hold them myself when I need them. So they transmute the energy. I love the clear ones. As crystal clear as you can get.
I love that too.
Clear ones are great.
Awesome. I have loved getting to learn about what you do, who you are. I think you're amazing. And again, to give presence to the website, to find a way to contact Nicole and to be part of this, raisethevibration.org. And she's awesome. I heartily recommend you find some space and some time to do some energy work, to kind of get back to raising the vibration. And what is it your soul journey is here to do?
Absolutely. When you can do that for yourself, when you can go in and access all of your energy centers enough, your auric field expands.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work with an auric field. So we work with, you know, a spiritual protection shield.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of language for this. So each person is different, and how they do it is languaged a little different, but it's really the same thing at the end of the day. We're getting in our spaceships, and when you've mastered your field, then you've really mastered your field.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a turtle being in their shell full time. So that field, we can get it through martial arts, we can get it through Tai Chi, Qigong, but Reiki is kind of my favorite.
Yeah.
It's the one for me.
It's your jam.
It's going on.
It's good.
So
at the end of the episode, I like to give the guests the opportunity to say, if there's one thing you take away from today's conversation, it's this. So what is that one thing you want to make sure people take away?
I just hear the word, you know, be in your authentic truth. Be in who you are, and don't try to be anything other than that. So when we do receive a healing session, we go in and we do that inner child work. And we don't have to have a big counseling session on it. We sure can. I've done a lot of that work. But it's really about breathing and cording back into your umbilical center, you know, letting yourself feel yourself, you know, smell the smells, breathe. It's so basic. It's crazy. It's such a hidden secret, and it's so basic. It's very basic.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, be yourself.
Be yourself. Thank
Be
you for being part of the journey. Thank you for sharing with everyone the work that you're doing and allowing people to have the experience of being themselves.
Yeah, we're speaking from the heart, so
awesome.
You can tell the difference, and that's the practice. You know, learning how to really stay in that heart frequency will keep this field ignited. So that is what opens up the auric field around us. That's why some people have a positive energy or more energy. You know, if we've been disheartened by life or deflated or kicked down, we're not going to have a lot of energy. You know, and then that becomes a thing. You know, and there's predators for that. You know, there's opportunists for that, unfortunately. So my work is to protect the kids and the integrity around how we raise our kids, and I don't know, we're going in.
Yeah.
We're going in with that one.
Yeah, beautiful.
So,
good.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being a part of the things that we're doing to raise the vibration.
Yes.
Thanks for being you.
Oh my gosh, no other way.
I'm David Marsh, and you've been watching Exploring the Human Journey on YouTube as a video and listening as a podcast. If you would like to help continue the conversation, please consider supporting us by visiting patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get extra bonus content. For as little as $1 a month, you can make this show sustainable and help continue spiritual consciousness. You can also help by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information about the show, find us online at exploringthehumanjourney.com.